Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us at the Lee County Emergency Operations Center. I'm Board Vice Chairman Kevin Ruane. With me, I have Commissioner Cecil Pendergrass, Commissioner Ray Sandelli, Commissioner Brian Hammond, and Deputy Manager, County Manager Dave Hardner. Also, I have Director of Public Safety Benjamin Abes, and special guest Senator Rick Scott, and obviously our Sheriff Carmine Marcino. As you know, Hurricane Milton made landfall last night. We have a lot of different messages, but first and foremost, let's be really grateful for what has occurred. We could have really been hit a lot harder. Restoration is really important, and we want to go through this process. We want to get power restored, but the longer you can stay off the roads, it's really important for you to do so. It's important because more than 55% of our signals don't have communication at the moment. So you're going to really have to be careful when you come up to an issue. Look at the light. Treat it as a four-way stop. Always be patient. Let's have the opportunity to restore power as best as we can. We want to help you get back in your homes, be where you need to be, but we have a lot of bridge issues. We have road issues. We're trying to obviously go through this and restore everything back to the way it was before the storm. Unfortunately, on some of the barrier islands, you're going to have more issues with flooding. We had some road issues out in Captiva, as well as Boca Grande. So please be patient through this process. I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Pendergrass.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you. Commissioner Rain said, it's the time to be first, to be patient. A lot of our neighbors do not have power. The next few days, you're going to see a lot of cleanup. We're going to see the trucks on the road again. We all experienced that a couple of years ago. So your patience. One update I did want to give is RSW. A lot of people have flights going and coming. As of right now, RSW is in cleanup stage today. 2 o'clock, they're having a meeting today with the airlines, and hopefully by tomorrow, TSA staff will be back on the ground here in Lee County. In our airport, RSW will be open for operations tomorrow. Again, your flights depend on the airlines, so if they want to connect with this airport again. So hopefully they'll be back up and running today and get everything back to normal. So next will be Commissioner Sandelli.
Well, good afternoon, and I'll say it's a special good afternoon today to see you all here safe and sound. Overall, I think we fared better than we anticipated, and we're blessed with that. Certainly, our barrier islands always seem to suffer the most, so there's a lot of teams out there that are working right now to clear those, as well as other parts of the county. Fort Myers Beach is in my district, and I spent a lot of time down there. People love the beach, and they want to go down. They want to see what's going on. I encourage you to stay away from the beach. Give us a couple days. We've got crews down there. So for efficiency of cleanup, for safety of the crews and for your neighbors. But I also encourage you, when it's done, get back to the beach, support our small businesses, and we're coming back. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandelli. I'm Brian Hammond. I'm the District 4 Commissioner, and District 4 has Northeast Cape Coral, North Fort Myers, and downtown Fort Myers in it. Like the other commissioners, I want to start with gratitude today. I definitely want to share gratitude for the first responders, the people who were with the Sheriff's Office, Public Safety, the fire departments, who were out there taking care of people during the storm. Thank you so much for your response. Thank you for taking care of our community when we know you probably wanted to be home taking care of your family. So thank you for making that sacrifice. You all are heroes. I want to say thank you to our county team. We have seen a tremendous effort, an excellent effort by the county team. They're already out there making their first push, getting the roads clear and trying to make this a safe place for you to check on your property. So I'm so grateful for the county team and all that they've done. And finally, I want to share gratitude for the residents. You all were prepared for this. You did a great job. I want to thank everybody who evacuated. I want to thank everybody who listened to all the warnings that we gave. I want to thank everybody who put their shutters up. Great job by the residents for this one. We really appreciate that. We couldn't have a great response without great residents who were prepared like this. So in District 4 in North Fort Myers, we did see some tornado damage. In fact, as I was home with my family, a tornado went right over our house, went into the Lake Fairways community in District 4 and several other mobile home communities, and we did see some damage. I went into that neighborhood, talked with some of the people after the storm. The good news is a lot of the homes that were damaged were occupied by people who are snowbirds, so they were not in town at the time. So thank goodness not very many people displaced, definitely not very many serious injuries at all related to that. In North Fort Myers, we did see some storm surge. We saw storm surge at the base of the Edison Bridge in a neighborhood known as Cabana City, and some of the other neighborhoods along Moody River, or Moody Road rather, that do flood as well. And so we saw the storm surge during Helene as well just a couple weeks ago. We know those neighborhoods well, and we'll be working to clean up the debris as soon as we can in those neighborhoods. And then finally in downtown Fort Myers, I spoke with Mayor Anderson this morning. He shares his gratitude for not being hit nearly as hard as they could have been hit. He believes that once the power gets going again, many of those businesses in downtown could be open again. I just want to say your county government is here for you. We have a great team. They are ready to serve you. And I want to introduce you to our public safety director who helped lead our efforts, Ben Avis.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you all for being here today. As the commissioners have said already, we did realize many of the impacts that we have been talking about for the last few days with Hurricane Milton. We experienced strong tropical storm force winds, including some hurricane force gusts during the peak of the storm. We had storm surge along the coast and along our rivers, and we had some rainfall, notably yesterday afternoon, which was accompanied by the tornadic activity. County staff is still working hard to assess the impacted areas, which include Boca Grande, Upper Captiva, Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, and coastal Bonita Springs. We're also out in Matlacha and Pine Island, and of course we're working in the areas that were impacted by the possible tornadoes. The county is working today to mobilize our community coordination teams to work directly with the impacted communities and immediately address any issues or needs that arise. This was a strategy that we used after Hurricane Ian, and it's one that we are using immediately following Hurricane Milton. Currently, we know that there are a lot of issues in the community, and these include down power lines, some of which may still be live. We have power issues which are impacting a large number of traffic signals, debris in the road, and traffic signals and bridges that still need to be fully assessed and inspected. So we're asking you today to stay home. Live power lines and debris in the roadways make this necessary. So give our team some time and some space to work, and know that we are working as quickly as possible with our partners to address these issues. Our shelters house 9,600 individuals overnight, and this morning, evacuees began leaving. As of 11:30, we had 627 individuals in our county shelters. We anticipate that number is going to fluctuate a bit throughout the day, especially as individuals go home and assess any damage that they might have. Some of our shelters may be consolidated later today, so if you are looking for a shelter, we ask that you stay up to date with the list of available facilities by going to leagov.com/storm. LeeTran will start assisting individuals leaving our shelters at 1 p.m. today, and know that these return trips are a fare free service. As the commissioners noted, power restoration is one of our top priorities. We're working very closely with our partners at the EOC to provide and coordinate any information and resources necessary to expedite this process. LCEC reports 129,000 customers without power in Lee County, and FPL has 111,000 customers without power. Again, power restoration is really key for us here in the EOC. Our damage assessment teams are out in the community already. These are staff from multiple county departments. They're out in these impacted areas. And just like after Helene, you'll see the staff going up and down through your neighborhoods doing these assessments. It is very important that you get permits for the work that may be necessary to repair your home, especially unincorporated residents in coastal areas and areas that typically flood, and residents or businesses within the special flood hazard area with damage to their homes or businesses, including any water intrusion. You must obtain a permit for all repairs. Email firminfo@leagov.com. That is FIRM info@leagov.com, or you can call our offices at 239-533-8948 for information and assistance with the permitting process. If you're in a municipality, please contact the appropriate entity for permit assistance. As a reminder, our county offices are closed today and Friday, and this includes all of our libraries, which will remain closed through the weekend. As we mentioned a few minutes ago, our Department of Transportation staff are hard at work, including DOT signals, who reported that as of 8 a.m., 52% of our signals were not operating. Now, some of these were not operating because of physical damage to the signals, but many were not operating simply because there's no power to the intersection. Our signals teams are out assessing these intersections. Please remember to approach all non-operating signals with caution and treat them as a four-way stop. Our bridge inspections began very early this morning, and unfortunately there were some rumors about a failure of the Sanibel Causeway, and these rumors are not true. It remained passable to emergency vehicles this morning, and FDOT and its contractors are clearing the road and coordinating a reopening plan with the city of Sanibel. A majority of our bridges have already been fully assessed and are fine. However, the approach to the Blind Pass Bridge is damaged on the Captiva side. Our Department of Transportation staff have been out working all morning, and they are working on those repairs this afternoon. The bridge itself is safe and intact. It is the approach to the bridge that was damaged by the storm. And our DOT operations crews are working on completing the first pass of collection of all debris from the roadways. Our solid waste teams are also hard at work. Lee County has extended the suspension of residential garbage collection through tomorrow, Friday, October 11th. Regular service will resume Monday, October 14th, and will follow the regular schedule next week for all accessible routes within the county's franchise areas. One important note: only put out trash next week. Recycling and yard waste collections will be delayed for at least 1 week. So again, next week, regular trash collection days, but only put out household trash. In addition to trash collection, our solid waste team is working on storm debris. Crews are out assessing and checking all of our debris management sites, and we're ready to mobilize our contracted debris vendor once these assessments are complete. Our natural resources team is monitoring very closely all of our waterways, and we're happy to report that the water continues to recede as normal. High tide for today has already passed, and despite the surge, this was not a heavy rainfall event. In fact, the highest recorded rainfall was in St. James City, with a rainfall of 4 inches, and the average across the entire county was just 1.1 inch. Also, we've been monitoring the watersheds across the region, and no anticipated sheet flow from the north is expected in the coming days. Our Lee County Utilities team is also hard at work. They're coordinating with Fort Myers Beach the resumption of water services. This is very important and a high priority for us, and we're working closely with Beach Utilities on that restoration. All Lee County Utilities treatment facilities are fully operational. We remained operational and maintained our water pressures throughout the entire storm, so we don't anticipate any broad boil water notices. Please check with your individual utilities for any specific questions. And as a reminder, there may be a need in the future for these boil water notices if issues arise. Our Parks and Recreation team is out assessing their facilities, and unfortunately today, all of these facilities will remain closed. This includes our rec centers, our sports complexes, our beach sites, and our boat ramps. We are continuing this assessment process today, and we anticipate providing an update tomorrow at noon. Lee County Domestic Animal Services has also resumed their field operations and is making emergency calls a priority. If you need to locate a missing pet or bring in a stray, Animal Services anticipates opening the Lost and Found Department Friday, October 11th. And if you're one of our Lee County residents who has a Milton foster pet from Domestic Animal Services, you can return them Friday between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., but Animal Services would be happy to have you keep that foster through the weekend. Lee-Tran regular fixed route services remain suspended today as they conduct Emergency Operations Center missions. We expect to resume regular fixed route service no later than Saturday. And as a reminder, please continue to stay up to date on information from Lee County government by visiting leegov.com/storm and follow Lee County government on Facebook. In closing, I want to thank and echo what the commissioner said. I want to thank the community for staying up to date, heeding our advice, and keeping you and your family safe during Hurricane Milton. You can continue to help us today by giving us time to do these critical assessments, debris clearance, and any emergency actions that may be necessary. And as we've all talked about, we work very closely with a number of partners here in the Emergency Operations Center. One of those partners is one of our special guests, Senator Rick Scott. Senator?
Well, first, I want to compliment the County Commission for Lee County. They've done a really good job educating the public about the need to evacuate and to stay safe. You putting together an unbelievable emergency operations team here, and they've done an outstanding job, as you can see. I want to thank the sheriff. He and his team worked all night, making sure people are safe. The key for people in Lee County is actually the same thing around the state. You survive the storm. Fortunately for Lee County, nobody died. Now you got to survive after the storm. You got to make sure that you don't drive into standing water. Don't touch a down power line. Don't use a generator if you don't know how to use it. Don't use a chainsaw if you don't know how to use it. Be careful. This is where we lose people after these storms. This was a massive storm, and here's what's different. We had bad storm surge around the state, primarily Manatee and Sarasota, but even down here. That was hopefully as they go check these communities out. Hopefully nobody died. We do know we lost people because we didn't just have wind, we didn't just have storm surge, we didn't just have rain, we didn't just have flooding. We had some horrible tornadoes. So yesterday, as an example, in St. Lucie County, we lost people because we had tornadoes that were completely unanticipated. And I talked to the sheriffs over there, and they are devastated by it. So here's what we all have to do today. We all have to be careful. Just take your time. You've survived it. Continue to survive this. We're going to recover. This is a beautiful state. We have resilient people. A few minutes ago, I spoke with the president, and the message was this. He agreed with me that Congress needs to come back and make sure the federal agencies, FEMA, SBA, HUD, Department of Agriculture, are fully funded. Not just for the disaster in Florida, but for the disaster with Helene in Georgia, East Tennessee, in North Carolina. This has to be fully funded, and he completely agrees with me. Number two, we talked about the fact that we have not been able to get block grants over the last 2 years after Ian, and with Debbie and Idalia, now Helene, for farmers and ranchers. That's got to change. So I talked to him about that. I talked to him about that last Thursday when I met with him up in Taylor County. We also talked about the fact that we've got to get FEMA centers open all across the state, closest to the people that are injured as much as possible. For federal agencies, FEMA coordinates it, so you need to go sign up through FEMA. So my goal is for them to open up offices as close to the impacted areas as much as possible, but you've got to sign up through them. All the efforts with the federal government is coordinated through FEMA. You can call my offices. I've got 9 offices around the state, the office in D.C., if you're having any problems. I've also called on the majority leader of the Senate to call us all back, and let's get this funding done to make sure we have all the resources we need. One of the keys around our state is an unbelievable number of sheriffs we have. We have great sheriffs across the state, and they work great with their county commissions. They work with the police departments, and you've got a great sheriff right here in Lee County that is out here very actively making sure people stay alive and stay safe. So I want to thank Sheriff Marcino for his hard work to make sure people are staying safe. I'm glad that in this county it doesn't appear there was any loss of life, and I hope that's true as we do all the search and rescue around the state. So your sheriff, Sheriff Marcino.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here today. First, thanks to the County Commission and all the leaders here, Senator Scott, everyone that really has worked around the clock behind the scenes in the EOC and the incident management teams and what they've done. Some of the talking points might, be a little bit repetitive, but I just wanted to go through some of the things that we've got to see. Our incident management team, IM team, was up all night, minute by minute, hour by hour, monitoring the storm talking about everything from the surges to waterways and lights and intersections that were not functional. And we work directly with the EOC and at the EOC, which has been a huge help for us. So we talk about storms before, during, and after. Before the storm, getting that message out, and thank God the residents really listened to us. Having no loss of life reported is tremendous. Again, we can build buildings like the senator said, but loss of life is tragic, and thank God we haven't had any. We experienced significant surge in the coastal areas, potentially, a lot of tornadic activity in the county, and literally I just left the Matlacha Pine Island area, and we flew back, and we're doing assessments as we speak. And when you fly in, post Hurricane Ian, you looked at the mangroves and all the homes going to locations, and you got to see visible damage and immediate damage everywhere. Now you look at this storm, and you wouldn't know we had a storm inland, but when you get to the beach ends, again, Matlacha, the Pine Island Bridge, where just west of the bridge a tornado landed and kind of went through Fort Myers Beach, all the way straight through down the Barrier Islands to Hickory. Obviously, we're going to have beach end issues, and we're on top of that. The residents, like the senator said, please do not walk through standing water. If you don't have to be outside, don't come out just yet. Let us do our assessments. Let us get where we have to get and do the things we have to do. As of this morning, we had 52% of intersections that were completely out. Okay, and we're working hard to get them up and running, but right now, that's a four-way stop sign. As of this morning, we had almost 250,000 people without electric and power. So LCEC, FPL, everybody's working so hard, and that's a really big deal for us. I want to thank, Senator Scott. I want to thank our county commissioners. Lieutenant Governor and I spoke, Lieutenant Governor Nunes and Ron DeSantis. Obviously, our CFO, Jimmy Petronis, has called numerous times. Congressman Donalds. FDLE Commissioner Mark Glass called me this morning at about 4 a.m. to say, hey, listen, what do you need? What boots on the ground do you need? He's doing a complete assessment of the entire state. And the FDLE officers are out there deploying to help every sheriff in the 67 counties. Obviously, that's a big job, and we can't thank them enough and what they do to offer their support. Our IMT updates as of 6:30 a.m. this morning, we had 1,661 calls for service. Now, I want to compare that to Ian. Ian, we had over 7,000 calls, give or take, holding. Okay, a lot of them, 50%, were probably welfare checks. And why is it significant? It's because this time people got out of harm's way. They listened to the messages. Our shelters had just under 10,000 people that's sheltered in our shelter. And then today, give or take 600 people. That tells me they listened, they got out of harm's way, and now the shelter is done. They will leave and go back to assess their damage. But again, no loss of life. That is really, really important. So far, we've done about 75 well-being checks. Okay, that was over almost a 4,000 mark after Ian, which tells me and tells us that people stayed during that storm, and then other family members were worried. Well, today we don't have that, so we're very thankful. Jail updates. Obviously, we have 642 inmates, 470 at the main jail and the core facility. Overnight, 14 new bookings, but we have power at all of them. We have water. We had backup plans, so our inmates are taken care of. I could talk about roadways, but specifically I will tell you there were many, many roadways that were affected, that were not passable from water. But if you want, please look at our Facebook, look at the information that we're giving out. It'll be very detailed. It's a lengthy list that I could stay here for 20 minutes reading, but we will get the information out on our social media. Some of the most important things I feel to say is, one, again, the senator said it, we're Florida strong, and unfortunately, look, we live in paradise, but we're no strangers to storms like Ian, Helene, now Milton, right? And I think we're very blessed locally as to what we see in the damage, and other people are not as lucky. So our thoughts and prayers are with everyone affected during those storms. This is when strangers help strangers, and this is the time to go out there if able, and you help people get on their feet, and that's what makes us a great place to live in, a great country. Most importantly, For those that homes were affected where you can't secure your homes, understand that we have deployed and allocated all resources throughout Lee County. Lee County's 1,260 square miles of land and sea. From the southern end, just north of Naples, straight through to the Barrier Islands where we split with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office in Boca Grande, to the east in Lehigh to Cape Coral. We work tremendously well. Chief Fields and I from FMPD, Chief Sizemore and I, we're all communicating continuously, and we will share our information and share resources, but we all stand strong on this. And this is a message I want to get out very clear and very firm. Our great residents and people all over the state took a hit, and they, may have lost their homes. And a lot of their stuff, and some people I was talking to this morning have to leave their homes. The windows are gone, their doors are off, but they still have valuables. So for any person, unfortunately, and I don't want to talk about this, but I have to cover it. If anyone thinks they're going to go into someone's house and steal and burglarize and victimize our great residents in Lee County and in this state, I can tell you, first and foremost, not in Lee County. And I say it, not in Lee County. First of all, you're going to be charged to the fullest extent of the law, and I guarantee that. We work with a great state attorney, Amira Fox. We've communicated. If you go into someone's house and you commit a crime, we will charge you to the fullest extent of the law. Secondly, if you go into someone's house, okay, their house, their only real safe place after this damage, if you walk in, you're lucky if you go to jail. You're lucky. You walk in someone's home, you get carried out. I want to thank our local, state, and federal partners. We work tremendously well with our partners, the federal partners here that also call and ask and are in touch that want to help us. So we have a great county. Follow our social media. Give us some time. Today's not the day to just venture out, just to venture out. We're with you every step of the way. And again, thoughts and prayers to all that are affected. Most importantly, no loss of life in Lee County, and know that your sheriff's office is working with our great people here to ensure your safety. We're here if you need us. God bless all of you, and most importantly, God bless America. Thank you. At this point in time, I want to introduce a great friend and colleague, Commissioner Kevin Ruane.
Thank you, Sheriff. Really want to say thank you once again to the community for cooperating with us. We need your cooperation a little bit longer. I know everyone's really impatient, but we really need to try to go through our restoration process. It's important as best you can to stay indoors, give us an opportunity to go out and do the restoration, let us restore power, let you get back to your regular day-to-day activities. That's what we want to do, but just be a little bit more patient. With that, we'll take some questions. Any questions?
First of all, thank you guys for being here today. I know this is a quick turnaround. I know you said that you're really happy with all the work so far, and one of the main concerns right now is Cape Coral with the power. I know you guys are saying to wait on all the work to get done there. Is there any type of timeline, or can you speak about the big problem that happened there, which is why many people don't have power right now?
Great question. I was on the phone this morning with Mayor Gunther. We talked extensively. We're realizing I was involved in a meeting with LCEC. We're doing everything we can to make the assessments firm, understand what the issues are. We believe some of the power lines maybe just took the power off them, so we're going to hope that that's the case. But right now, we're still waiting for some additional information. We will have an update this afternoon for certain, but right now it's just too early to give false information. I don't want to do that.
Another big thing is gas, and I know that that's something that people try to stock up on before we get to these emergency situations, but I know at the pumps people get really anxious, and there's a lot of pressure around getting those resources for the generators, especially in Cape Coral. I'm driving around there all day today, and there is not one pump that is available. Is there any type of emergency plan for that we are going to be getting more gas at a certain time?
Who wants to take it? Okay.
Thank you for that question. We work very closely with the Florida Division of Emergency Management. They have a fuel desk in Tallahassee that we communicate with. Especially when there's impacts like this, we know that there's going to be, number one, people are going to stock up, and so we may see shortages within the community, but also it takes a little bit of time post-storm and post-impact to be able to restore the supply. We will communicate and continue to talk to the Florida Division of Emergency Management. There's currently no shortage of fuel in Florida. It's just a matter of transporting the fuel to the individual stations and making it available to consumers.
And is there a way that you guys can kind of get that message out? Obviously, obviously through us, we will do that as well, but is there any type of plan of when we can get that information out, maybe in a more organized way, so that people aren't, again, having these type of altercations sometimes that arise and everyone's stressed out?
I think that's a great question. We will talk to the Florida Division of Emergency Management. One of the things that we've seen from past storms, especially when we don't have severe impacts like we saw with Hurricane Ian, obviously we've got impacts across the community and they're devastating. But many of those service stations, once they get power, can be fully operational if they have fuel. And so oftentimes it's just a matter of getting the fuel there and getting the power on, and those services are available, but we'll continue to work with FDEM.
My last question, I was also on Fort Myers Beach, which was one of the places that had the most damage that I saw in and out of the neighborhoods outside of people's homes. So that was a really big concern. I think even the mayor said, fortunately, there's just not enough time between Helene and now this hurricane to kind of get everything cleaned up. And we know that there was a lot of surge. You haven't been able to assess everything. Obviously, you guys haven't as well. Is there going to be any type of push to really make sure, God forbid, there is some other natural disaster within season here, that we don't have the same problem?
I think regardless of whether there may be or could be another disaster, debris collection is very, very important. Today, we're taking the time to be able to identify and quantify where the debris is, what it is, and what may be necessary to collect it. From there, then we work with the debris vendors to make sure we've got the right resources in place, and then we start working as quickly as possible to collect that debris. I would also mention that some municipalities use the same vendors. Other municipalities may have different policies and vendors that they work with. So each municipality may be different. The county is working very closely with our vendors to expedite that process, get those trucks in the communities, and start picking up the debris.
My last thing is to tell the public then, at this time, not to put any more of that outside at this time until some of that is cleaned up. Is that what I heard correctly? We just want regular trash to be outside? Just want to clarify.
So as far as household trash goes, we only want regular household trash at the curb next week for normal collection, but no yard debris, like normal yard debris, and also no recycling. That's so we can focus on the normal household trash. We'll provide some detailed instructions on exactly how to get your debris to the curb and get that picked up by our debris haulers when appropriate. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you all. Appreciate it.